G'day folks, welcome back to the Coffin Nail. My name's Lightbreaker. My guest today is the busiest man in death metal, the one and only Demonstealer. Mate, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. I've been a fairly recent convert to Demonstealer. I heard the EP last year, This Too Shall Pass, and I thought it was terrific. And I'm excited to talk to you about your new EP coming out soon. On December 3rd, Demonstealer will be putting out a new EP, The Holocene Termination. So let's start there.
Yeah.
It's a fairly foreboding title. So can you tell us a bit about the concept of the EP?
Yeah, the original title for the EP was actually different. It was something quite cliche and cheesy. It was meant to be The Monster is Man, kind of talking about humanity's destruction and how there's so much evil in humans, and if you go through human history and you see all that man has done, he truly is the monster.
Mm.
And I think while that title had the right sentiment, it just kind of didn't have that ring to it.
Yeah.
So I actually bounced a couple of ideas off some of my bandmates from Demonic Resurrection, or ex-bandmates rather, who are still till today kind of my sounding board for lyrics and song titles and even mixes and stuff. Daniel Rego, the ex-lead guitarist, and he actually suggested the Holocene Termination, because I had thought of something with the Holocene, because I think I watched a bit of too many nature documentaries on Netflix, and kind of the Holocene stuck out to me as a word that I actually wanted to use. And he suggested the Holocene Termination, and I was just like, yeah, you know what, that's got the ring to it, and it just fits beautifully.
Absolutely. You say ex-band members there. You were, of course, the frontman of Demonic Resurrection. Is the band still going?
Well, I still am the frontman of Demonic Resurrection. But we've had a lot of ups and downs over the last 5 years or so, and currently on paper the band is pretty much just me and the drummer Viru. So that's all that's sort of officially the band. So yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we're still on paper, we still exist. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So, do the lyrics of the songs on the EP all of them reflect this theme?
Yeah, I pretty much approach albums and EPs to kind of always have a flow. Like if you ever go back to as far back as 2005, everything progresses from song one to the end.
Yeah.
It is a story. There is something that connects the dots across each track. I know a lot of bands just put song, and the songs have no connection to each other. But for me, it's kind of like a flow. So even on this EP, yeah, the lyrical theme flows across from the first song right to the last one.
Yeah. Awesome. That's something you've always done well, even as far back as And Chaos Will Reign. That album has such a nice pacing to it.
Yeah, like I said, for me, when I started making music, I had a very sad, lonely teenager kind of theme to my lyrics. I was 16. I was sad that I didn't have a girlfriend. I was sad that I didn't know what I wanted with my life. I think when DR kind of hit a low point in 2002, and I found some new members, they kind of said, look, buddy, we're happy to join the band, but you got to stop this emo kind of lyrical theme you've got going on, and let's write something more interesting, more fantasy based, more mature. And it's not like the theme of sadness and loneliness is not mature. It's the way I put it out. I guess a 16-year-old who doesn't read too many books, it's what was expected. But from that time onwards, I kind of started to get into the whole idea of putting down like a theme and a story that runs through the albums. And I think I've been able to stay true to that so far.
Awesome. Well, one of the most notable things about the new EP is the massive roster of guest musicians on it. Now, I mean, you've got several members of Flesh God Apocalypse. People played in Marduk, Vader, all sorts of bands. How do you know all these people? Is it just from touring, or?
I actually know none of these people. Like, I get to know them because I guess I'm like a fanboy who stalks and messages and troubles all these people online, with like friend requests.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to work with a lot of musicians that I look up to. And I think when I was able to work with George Colliers on my 2016 album, This Burden Is Mine, that's kind of where everything started from. It felt like I could actually work with a lot of musicians, like pretty much any musician, if you approach them in a professional manner and you're willing to pay their session fees, and if they have the time and they enjoy your songs, they will work with you, I don't think anyone is particularly snobbish about replying to an email that's, hey, would you play on a song? They may not have the time to do it, but they're all generally friendly and courteous enough that they'll reply and say yes or no, or I can do it on so and so date. So that's pretty refreshing to see.
Yeah, and especially in the last year or two when everyone's been at home anyway.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense because everyone's sitting at home. A lot of them have the setup to record. Many of them are anyway doing things on Twitch and YouTube. So it's not very hard to collaborate with people.
Yeah, but you say it's not very hard. I imagine it must be difficult to record an album in different countries, sometimes different continents. How did you communicate with them about what should be recorded?
I think that actually boils down to the amount of trust you have in the musician that you're working with and how clear you are upfront with them. If you're going to work with a musician and you have a particular vision, you need to be able to convey that to them right at the get-go, so they know what they're doing. If you go and tell a drummer, play everything you want, don't listen to my scratch track that I sent you, and he goes and plays something totally different, and it comes back and you're suddenly like, I don't want it, that can be a problem unless you've pre-decided that he will send you his ideas first. You will listen to them, you will approve them, so you have a very clear-cut understanding of what is asked of them and what they will deliver to you as well, which makes it pretty easy then to get the job done.
Awesome. Well, I shouldn't be surprised of how professional your approach is. It's not the first time you've done it either.
Yeah, and I guess even just going back to before I even started collaborating with musicians, I worked in a recording studio for about 4 or 5 years. And I guess that kind of let me see firsthand how the industry works, and this is the commercial side of things. We're talking about advertising, jingles and voiceovers and movies. And so you're interacting with musicians who've literally been doing this day in, day out. They're dealing with it on a professional level. They come in, they do a job that's assigned to them. They give you an invoice. The invoice gets paid. The rights are discussed. There are contracts in place. So, you kind of know what the playing field is like, and it's much easier than to be professional with what you do.
Yeah, for sure. And of all the guests on the Holocene Termination, the song itself, the solo is incredible. But what I want to ask you is that you can clearly play, but you don't usually do lead. Why is that?
Yeah, that's because I'm not a good lead guitar player.
Do you not enjoy it, or is it something you haven't worked on? Or
I guess it's something I never worked on, because when I started playing guitar, I was very inspired by Dino Cazares from Fear Factory, Max Cavalera, James Hetfield, and none of these guys were playing solos. And I just felt like, yeah, you know what, I don't need solos in my music, or it's not something I want to focus on. And I think at some point I just kind of reached a place on the instrument where I'm an old dog that can't be taught new tricks, So I was never ever, and also because I was not a good lead guitar player, whenever I did try to play lead guitar in Demonic Resurrection, I was always shot down immediately, by my bandmates. Like, the moment I went to the high strings or the high notes, like the fingers in the ears would come up, or it's like when somebody bends out of tune, it's like, oh, dude. So I think it just eventually led to me realizing that, what, I don't think lead guitar is something I'm cut out to play, and I'll just, get people who are like 10 times better. And the thing is, they've set a standard now on all my music that I genuinely feel, unless I take a 10-year break from doing anything else in life and just sit down and play guitars for like 4 or 5 hours every day, I won't reach that level. So I just feel it's better to have, people who can do the job, better than me. And that's the same, I guess, with, why maybe I don't play bass every album or every EP, or why I may not even play the drums, So
Yeah.
there are people who can do it a lot better than me, and I do enjoy also having that input sometimes.
Yeah.
It takes the song in a different direction.
For sure. I have to say, I'm impressed by your humility. It's great to see. So, what do you do when the band goes on tour?
Which band?
Demonstealer. For a lineup, then, if you are used to having all these guests or even doing it
Right.
yourself.
All right. So Demonstealer is not a band, actually. I don't know how to get it across, but Demonstealer is my stage name. So I am Demonstealer, and
Yes.
everyone is just a guest on my solo album, so to speak. So this is actually a studio project. I did try and take it live back in 2016 when I had just the one album with George Collier on drums, where I pretty much had the Demonic Resurrection band minus the keyboard player become my backing band. But I just think at some point I realized that touring is too difficult, and given that I'm not a popular artist, there's really no demand to see this project live. So I just have never even looked at it as a project I will take live anymore. It's just I'm going to do what I like in the studio, and that's about it.
Fair play. Good on you. Now, with the new EP as well, there is a special producer's edition which comes with all the individual stems from the studio recordings. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I always have had a habit of crowdfunding all my recordings, I guess, over the last 6 odd years. And initially, I would do physical bundles like a CD or a T-shirt and a box set, a special edition box set with like a plectrum and poster and things like that. But over the last few years, apart from the difficulty of selling physical media, just shipping anything from India started to become like a nightmare for me. And I realized like I just don't have the bandwidth anymore to go to my post office and fight with the clerk there and tell him a CD is allowed. I've been shipping it for 20 years and why are you giving me a hard time? So I just said, forget it. And plus with COVID restrictions, when I crowdfunded the last EP, there was no way I could do physical products. So I had to come up with something interesting for people to purchase that would be, of more value than say the EP, which is like $5.
Yeah.
So, they could spend more, because that's generally what crowdfunding is. You sell premium packages of either your CD is signed or your box set is signed, or you've got a limited vinyl, something that is more than that $5 or $7 or $10 that you would normally spend on music. So I had to come up with something creative. And I remember Lamb of God had put out a producer edition of one of their albums where they gave you the stems as well. And I remember being
I miss that?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know about that, but it was very cool, I thought. And I was like, you know what, I should just do that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And so are you going to ask people to maybe have a competition of who can do a good mix of some of the tracks or anything like that?
I have thought about it, but I don't know if there would be enough interested people. I did do a competition for not the last EP, but the album before that. I had a drum competition where people, and we did a pretty cool contest. I guess I'm very drummer centric, so I always do things. So I basically had a contest where drummers had to cover any song from the album. And I pretty much put the guitar tracks for all the songs online. And I was able to get some sponsorship from Foot Blaster Trigger and Scorpion Percussion and Serial Drummer Clothing. And it was really cool. We had a decent cash prize, I think of about $200 or $300 plus some gear. So we actually got quite a fair bit of participation.
Nice.
And I do remember a couple of people messaging me saying, hey, you should do a guitar contest or a bass contest or vocal contest. So you never know, if there is interest, I may actually go ahead and do something this time as well.
That'd be cool, man. I'd love to do it. Now, I said at the start that you're one of the busiest men in death metal. You also have Demonstealer Records. And I've seen online that there's been a number of different releases of different bands on there, whereas I initially assumed it was just for Demonstealer. Tell us a bit more about the label.
Yeah, so, well, first of all, the label actually doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, no?
Yeah, I shut it down around 2012, 2013.
Really? That long ago?
Yeah. So the thing is, I did start the label primarily just as a sort of logo at the back of the first Demonic Resurrection album, because I had a friend who's like, you call yourself Demonstealer, but Demonstealer sounds better as a record label, like Demonstealer Records.
I thought that
That
too,
sounds
yeah.
better. Yeah, so I was like, okay, whatever. I put it at the back of the first DR album way back in like 2000. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And then when DR was doing the next album, we were going to do a much more professional release, because the first one was just a burnt CDR disc, which me and my mother Xerox, we photocopied the artwork and stuck it together, and it was like DIY to the max, and
like
yeah. And then for the next DR album, I was like, look, I'm going to get it professionally pressed. We're going to print the booklets. We're going to do everything top notch and make it like something that can be sent worldwide, and people will be like, yeah, this is on par professionally with even a Metallica record. Like it is, it looks like a professional CD. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll get a logo for Demonstealer Records. We'll make it through Demonstealer Records. And I felt like, I can do this for other bands as well. So I just started the label on that sort of a thing. I was like, I could do this, because in India, there was nothing at the time. There were no labels. The only labels here were the mainstream labels, who honestly had no interest in metal music or metal bands. Though there was a sort of bigger company here that kind of under the umbrella of all things independent that were not Bollywood music, kind of rounded up one or two metal bands who did get a release through distribution on, say, Sony or something. But there was no independent label for extreme metal. So I was like, you know what? I pretty much dedicated my life to metal and metal music, and it's like, yeah, let me just do this and see where it goes. And I ran it till I could, till 2012, when I finally just got fed up, and I was like, this is not worth the effort that's going into it.
Yeah, man, it's a big undertaking. For 2012, I'm gonna have to fire my research department. That's me.
No, I guess this news is not like, it's not like Blabbermouth and stuff picks it up and goes, oh man, this guy shut down his label in India. Like, yeah, I made a Facebook post about it, it got a few hundred likes, but like beyond that, after a week, it's gone to the feed somewhere down at the bottom, so you're not going to see it anyway.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about something else that I know you're still active with. You also have Headbanger's Kitchen, a website and YouTube page about your passion for cooking. So
yes.
Tell us all about that, man. That's quite unusual. All right.
Yeah, so Headbanger's Kitchen, believe it or not, is actually my day job.
Awesome.
That is what I do for a living now. That's what pays my bills. And I started Headbanger's Kitchen, just as another creative thing that I do. I loved cooking. YouTube was starting to get popular in India about 10, 12 years ago, when we had better connections, and I was watching a lot of cool food content like Epic Mealtime and the Barbecue Pit Boys. And I was doing like a little food blogging on Facebook, just like one recipe every couple of weeks. And I was like, I'd like to also film my recipes and put them online on YouTube, just for fun. And at that point, Demonic Resurrection had just shot our first music video. So I actually asked the director of our music video, I said, look, I've been watching a lot of stuff, and I've been thinking of starting like a YouTube channel and putting my recipes online. Would you help me film it? And he was like, yeah, sure, I don't mind. But, let's do something a little more interesting. So I brainstormed a little bit, and I came up with the idea for Headbanger's Kitchen. The name, incidentally, was selected by Demonic Resurrection's then keyboard player Mephisto. But the idea was to, film a recipe, interview a metal band on the show, and have them taste the dish. And of course, the dish would be inspired by the band or one of their songs. And so we put together this concept, and we started working on it. And we did this for 4 years. The original team that did it, they quit after about 8 episodes when they realized there's no money and they couldn't divert their resources to this. And for me, it was like, I'm doing this because I enjoy it. And also it's a great way to get more eyeballs to my music, because, people will come here to see this interesting, cool concept. And, they'll see that I'm a musician and they might be curious to check out my music. So, it's a win-win situation. So I did for about 4 or 5 years. Channel didn't grow much, and at some point I was like, you know what, the amount of effort I'm putting into this is not worth it anymore. Because I mean, for me it was very simple. There are two motivational factors. One is you get paid to do something, so you're like, okay, it's a job, I'm doing it, I enjoy it or whatever. It's fine. The other is there's no money. I do it simply because there are people watching and there's some kind of growth happening. I mean, uh, like, so I was like, there's no viewers, like there are not enough viewers and there's no money. So I'd rather just spend my time working on my music. I could invest all that time and effort into the band. And I said, you know what, I'll just film when I have time with one camera in my kitchen, and so be it. So I just started doing that, and I just kept putting out videos, and then I got on the keto diet.
Yes, I've seen this.
So that's kind of where the big switch happened. I was doing just casual recipes, fun things like pulled pork hamburgers or whatever. And suddenly I'm on the keto diet. I'm eating a pizza made out of cauliflower. And I'm like, I got to film this.
Nice.
And I did that. And I just suddenly like there's people watching. There are comments. Wow, this video has like 30 comments. I normally get like 3 comments. It's like 30 comments on this video. So I do keto for 3 months. The video start getting some traction. I start doing some other stuff as well. And I'm like, and people are constantly watching those keto videos and they're like, hey, can you do some more keto recipes? I'm like, okay, cool, I'll think about it. And then I think it was probably March 2000 and I want to say 16. Yeah, 2016. I was with this MCN company that kind of optimizes your YouTube channel and stuff like that. Yeah. And I was like, listen, guys, I think I'm going to go out on my own. I haven't seen you do much for me. And, they would constantly pester me to do things. I was like, look, I don't want to become a YouTuber, so I can't do all this. So anyway, I quit with them and they gave me a nice check of $90 for 5 years of work. Yeah, it's cool. It's not their, it's not their fault. Music is copyrighted. Views are not there. So whatever, I got $90. I was like, great, thank you, bye-bye. Next month from YouTube, I get a check for $110. I'm like, okay, then something has changed. So I was like, okay, let's just do some more videos. And suddenly, next thing you know, like the channel has grown to like 100,000 subscribers. I am able to quit my day job, and this is now my job. And here we are today with 650,000 subscribers on the channel.
Amazing.
And I'm pretty much a keto recipe channel through and through now.
That's so cool. I think you're rocking one of the Headbangers Kitchen t-shirts right now, aren't you?
Yes, I am actually. I forgot to change.
No, not at all. Anyone watching this back on YouTube, there'll be a link down in the description. That's awesome, man. I believe there's a book as well, right?
Yes, so there's one book which is my 100% original book with all my recipes. So 100 recipes of mine in the book, which is a Headbangers Kitchen book. It's called Keto Life. And then there are 2 other books that I've just worked on. So it's not all my recipes. One has 30 recipes and photos. And the other one is just a book I sort of worked on and converted regular recipes into keto-friendly recipes and did like a big write-up on what keto is and things like that. So I've worked on 3 books in total.
That's awesome. And I've checked out some of the videos. Like they're as fun and creative as how you were describing it at the start. Not the same format as how it started out, but it's really fun to watch. And I think I got to make that chicken Thai curry.
Nice.
That looks mean. There's something a bit different I wanted to ask you about as well. On all your social media, in the bio, you only get like 200 or 300 characters to describe who you are, what you do. And you always say atheist. And look, I'm atheist too. But it's the fact that you put it in the short bio feels like quite a lot of a statement. And I grew up as an atheist in a non-religious family in conservative rural Ireland. But I have no idea what it might be like to grow up as an outspoken atheist in India. Can you tell us a bit about that experience?
Yeah, so actually, okay, that's quite a loaded question.
Yeah, sorry, big one.
Right, no, that's fine. So I'll answer the part first as to why I have it in my bio. The reason I have it in my bio is because, unfortunately, well, actually not unfortunately, but I have a lot of because the channel is now is focused on keto. I have a lot of old Christian ladies from America watching my videos, and even men, I guess, a lot of older Christian people watching my videos. Now, most of them are cool; they don't have an issue,
Sure.
but I just constantly get, oh, horns up, you worship the devil, oh, accept Christ as your savior. Then, basically like that whole Jesus will save you. So I just got fed up of constantly like having to explain my religious beliefs or that I'm an atheist. I'm just putting it in the damn bio. Like,
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
and if that puts people off, like, that's their problem. But I'm like, I just don't have the bandwidth to constantly explain that.
Mm.
Like, so that's the reason, like, I just put that there. I was like, you know what? It just sorts all my problems out. So if somebody comes
Sure.
there and is like, okay, atheist, me no likey, me go away. Cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
At least I don't have to deal with, like, why do you say horns up? Do you worship the devil? And
God
yeah, so
almighty.
as for growing up, um, so in India, the religious diversity is very different, and it's largely problematic in different classes of people economically, like, and also in India, the religious lines are kind of drawn on Hindu and Muslim,
Mm-hmm.
or Hindu against Christian,
Mm.
and a lot of the religious violence is obviously promoted and pushed forward by these sort of politicians and religious leaders, and it's always the sort of poorer class of people who are involved in the conflict.
Yeah.
So which is why, uh, if someone like me says something on the internet, I'm unlikely to get into any trouble with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Although now, because of the internet and internet spreading across the country to rural areas, to everyone with a mobile phone, that barrier has been broken down. But like,
Mm.
if there is a if there's a like an anti if there was, say, an anti-Hindu metal band, the
Right.
chances of them getting any flack or having any um, real negative impact at this point would be very low, as
Right.
opposed to, say, you are a filmmaker doing a Bollywood film, which is the biggest
Mm.
industry, or you are a cricketer or a movie star,
Yeah.
and you do or say something, you could be in a lot more trouble. Like, it can get really
Okay.
bad. like like I think it's a global thing of right now. All the governments in the world are, well, at least America, UK, India,
Mm.
Brazil, like a lot of heavy right-wing governments. And in India, a lot of stuff can get pushed under the rug. You can bribe your way out of things. You
Mm.
could get killed in broad daylight, and like, there's no consequence to
Yeah.
the perpetrators. So if you're doing something that's more mainstream, yeah, you better watch what you're doing and be a
Mm.
little more careful. So as an atheist, like, again, as an atheist, you're not really against any religion per se.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're out there, if I was like a movie star and I was saying some of the stuff I said, yeah, I might have a lot more problems to deal with. But thankfully, I haven't had to deal with any of that.
Well, we'll see how big Headbanger's Kitchen gets.
Yeah, trust me, I don't think it'll ever get that big because I again, there's like this whole barricade of language, and also, like, if you noticed, most people would find my cooking style, the way I talk, I'm more Western in appearance as such.
Mm.
Like, I don't speak any regional language, because again, when people talk about language, India's got like hundreds of
Yeah.
languages, every
Of course.
state is different. So yeah, there's a long way to go before I reach that kind of mainstream popularity in India where it will like be of any consequence to me, at least, I think.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Because I went to India a few years ago and I was blown away by how severe the caste system was. Like I'd heard about it, but until you see just how differently people look and act on the same street, it blew my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, listen, mate, before we wrap up, we'll lighten things up. We usually have a quick lightning round, so I'll give you two options. You just pick whichever one you want, yeah?
Yeah, definitely bring it on.
Cool. Obituary or death?
Death.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs. Actually, no, cats. No, damn it, my wife's going to kill me. My wife loves dogs. It's interesting. Can I pick a particular dog?
Oh, please, yeah.
A non-jumping, a non-barking, and a non-licking dog. Then I'll pick a dog.
That's just a cat. Nice. I love the conflict, though.
Yeah.
All right. Momos or samosa?
Momos.
Yeah. That was my favorite thing over there, chicken momos. Oh, dude,
I'll tell you why as well. Because most of the time, momos are less spicy and they're more often filled with meat.
Yeah.
Samosas, most of the time, will be vegetarian and will be spicy.
Yeah. I prefer controlling how much spice is going onto the momo.
Yeah.
Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Yeah. No hesitation there.
No, because I've been a Windows user for like, I guess, 22 or 23 or 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fair play. And the final and most important question that we ask every guest in the Coffin Nail. Star Wars prequels or sequels?
Which is the old one?
Yeah, okay, so obviously the original trilogy is the best, but you can't pick that. You can pick episodes 1, 2, 3 or 7, 8, 9.
Okay, so here's the shocker. I don't know anything about Star Wars.
Dun, dun,
Wait.
dun.
Yeah, so I very loosely follow Star Wars. Like I know I have seen the first 3, the trilogy that came out, and I did see one of the new movies.
Mm-hmm.
The one with Kylo Ren in it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but like I don't really follow the mythology of it, so I don't know which part is which.
Yeah. Well, the mythology got very changed in the sequel movies, so I'm not sure you're missing too much. That is a new answer to that question, I have to say. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, folks, been a pleasure chatting with Demonstealer. The new EP, The Holocene Termination, coming out on December 3rd. And by the time this video's out, there'll be a new single released. An Epoch of Degradation should already be out. So guys, listen to that. Pre-order the EP and the producer edition. And Demonstealer, thanks for coming on the Coffin Nail.
Thanks for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure and a really fun conversation.
Cheers, man. Hey guys, thanks for watching. It's YouTube, so you know the drill. Be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications about any future interviews I post here on the channel, because you never know who it's going to be. Could be Scott Stapp. Could be someone good. But like and subscribe and there'll be a new interview every second week. Better still, you can listen to the Coffin Nail live on Keith FM, that's KEITHFEM.com, every second Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. German time. And for everything Coffin Nail related, go to thecoffinnailradio.com for full episodes, interviews, and exclusive articles. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.